Hey everybody, we're back with another video. So, today we're going to discuss the hit movie, Morbius. Can Jared Leto make a bad movie? Can he? Will he? Won't he? Should he? Those are the questions we're going to ask in this review right here. So, Morbius. That's why it's filmed at night. Well, not the movie. The movie has some sunlight, but the review is dark and spooky. Atmospheric, if you will. So, let's go into it. Of course, aside from the jokes, we're going to talk about all the usual stuff. You know, acting, cinematography, lighting, sound effects, question mark, maybe? Does it have sounds? Is it a, wordy? Just all going back to the good old days of cinema. No sounds, just words. We're gonna find out. Lighting, directing, all that stuff. So, for starters, we have the Sony verse, if you will. And of course, this movie was advertised, and everybody was excited for it because there was the Spider-Man. There was the big Spider-Man trailer that came out with what looked like the image of the Insomniac video game on the graffiti on the wall. So everybody's losing their minds. Oh my gosh! And there was Michael Keaton in one of the trailers. So again, everybody's losing their mind. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's amazing. It's crazy. So, everybody was excited, but we also had the big problem of the Sonyverse in general was just a problem. Because they wanted to make it rated R. Like with Venom, it was going to be rated R, but they decided to change it. And then, I don't know if there was reshoots or not, I'm not on the camera set, I honestly didn't look into that part. But again, it took longer than it should have. Of course, and there was COVID and everything. I don't know if I can say it on camera, but, a little bit of a thing happened. Oh, hopefully they won't I'm not getting monetized anyway, it's fine. But anyway, there was 2020, and then that got it pushed back even more. I mean, I think they probably did reshoots or some sort of thing, which got it pushed back again, and it's 2022, and it's out on April 1st. It's a big joke. Oh, and again, as we go into the Sonyverse, it gets more and more confusing because they're making less and less sense. Because Venom makes sense. There's Venom: The Lethal Protector. There's Donny Cates Venom. There's all sorts of Venom spin-offs and tie-ins and all that sort of crazy stuff. Prequels, whatever. All sorts of things where he's not with Spider-Man. And I even have a few issues of Morbius myself that my stepdad gave me. So, I was probably going to read those whenever I got done with all this college stuff. But, yeah, Morbius has a solo title. And there's even more recent ones. I think, I'm not sure how. I think the most recent one I've seen was 2014, maybe. So, again, Morbius has comics. But then there's also the problem of Kraven the Hunter. Okay, that's a bit of a tangent, but again, Kraven the Hunter doesn't really, I don't think I've ever heard of a Kraven the Hunter comic book. So it makes no sense. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to make him hunt animals for 2 hours? Hour and a half? It doesn't make any sense. To me, at least. We'll see how it goes. But Morbius, without giving any spoilers, what do I think of it? I'd maybe give it a C minus, D plus maybe. It is a run-of-the-mill superhero movie, origin story, of course. Of course, my main problem is they don't focus enough on Morbius. Really. Because there's, it goes into the background, his history of being a kid, and then he has the blood, artificial blood he makes, and then he does the bats. Well, honestly, hold on, let's go back a second, because I think the way the movie opens up is a bit weird, because again, it starts off with him collecting the bats, then it goes into childhood, then him getting the award, and then him doing the experiments with the bats and stuff. I think it's a really weird, way to put it. Like, I don't know, I feel like just put the kid stuff in the beginning. Maybe that's too, like, cliche or something, I don't know. But that kind of was weird to me, that you start off with him collecting bats and then go into the other stuff. And then, of course, he becomes a vampire. Spoiler alert, but he becomes a vampire. And I think here's where, like, things kind of go off the rails for me anyways, because there's a lot of, like, one of my critiques was the special effects. There's too many, like, slow motion, kind of, like, fancy, like, because there's a little bit of fighting, and there's too much, like, fancy, like, stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, not make sense, but there's too much slow motion. Like, I think the thing about fighting and special effects and slow motion is to be used sparingly. Like, to make the way of the impact make sense and make it, impactful, to reuse the same word, but to make it, work. Because otherwise it's just like, and sure, you don't want to be like Batman Begins where it's like all like shaky and you can't see what's going on, but you also don't want like every shot to be slow motion. And in this movie, they make every shot slow motion, so it doesn't like have the same weight. Like you'd want, I don't know, I would think you'd want to save the slow motion for the ending, where, it's the big battle and everybody's like killing each other or something. I don't know. You want to save it for like the end, or at least like use one scene of it in the beginning to show how fast he is, and then maybe use it later in the ending to emphasize it or something. But yeah, overall it's a regular like movie. Again, with the Jared Leto thing, I see a lot of memes going around like attacking him. I don't really care about that because like, sure, he was in Suicide Squad and it was bad, and there's like rumors of him method acting, which I think is stupid, but I don't really care. Like, I mean, in the movie he's like fine. I don't think he's bad. There's like other allegations aside from that are more damning to his character, but I'm not here to talk about that. This is a movie review channel. You can find those on your own if you'd like, but this is for, well, not a movie review channel, but it's about the movie. We're about comic books, pop culture. We're not here to cast our stone to Jared Leto. So, Jared Leto in the movie's fine. There's Matt Smith, who is one of the doctors in Doctor Who. I haven't seen it, but, again, he's, like, fine. I think he's, like, I think it was interesting, because, again, I didn't really even know he was, like, in the movie until I watched it. It's one of those things where it's, like, advertising's kind of weird. They don't really promote that sort of stuff. I guess they're just like, oh, it's a vampire. Oh, scary. Oh. So, yeah. So there's this acting, story. Again, the story is kind of cliche. It's just like a basic origin movie. And there are some minor things that I think they should have touched on more that they didn't. Again, that'll kind of like drop the score a little bit. But it's kind of just boring, generic, nothing like special about it. It seems like it was made in like the early 2000s. And especially, again, it's 2022. I think we're past the point of like origin story. Like, again, we're getting into like crazy like cinematic like worlds, universes, where there's multiverse, and like now we're just getting like another origin story. I don't know, I think it seems a little weird at this point, but maybe that's just me. I also think that the lighting was a bit too dark. Like, there were some scenes where I think it was just like so dark, you couldn't see anything, going back to like the cinematography and lighting and stuff. There was like really odd line choices. Again, darkness, and I mean, that's the thing. It's because when you make it, it's supposed to be like a crazy dark, like violent superhero vampire movie, and then like, oh no, we gotta scrap that. We gotta work in with Tom Holland Spider-Man or some sort of Spider-Man, so he's gotta be PG-13. Scrap it. Okay, fine. So now he's PG-13, so you remove all the blood. But again, he's a vampire. That's the thing, is like Venom you could maybe make PG-13 because there's comic books, and sure, there's comic books based on Morbius, and they're like fine, they're teen, they're made by Marvel, right? Fine, but also he's a vampire, so that changes things, like kind of takes away some of the weight. And I mean, I guess there were scenes with blood in them, but again, it was kind of like a I don't know, like some sort of anime where it's like black. It was like a cartoon. It's like just black blood, and you're like, oh, okay. So that was weird. Okay, sorry, we had to move stations because arm hurts. Anyway, so we have, again, the story's kind of meh. So I think that's about all I need to cover. The ending was kind of like lackluster because, as Eddie Burback said, like it just kind of sped up for no reason, which was weird. But yeah, like there was this speed up in the ending, and I don't want to give away too much, but I feel like they just tried to cram too much into the ending, and it lost its emotional impact. So yeah, like maybe like a C minus, D plus. Like it's not the best, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I don't think Jared Leto should be condemned because he made another bad superhero movie or whatever. I don't really care. I'm just saying it was kind of boring. So yeah, meh. But now let's go into spoilers. Spoilers. Ooh. So, going back to the ending, I think it was a little weird. They had 2 character deaths at the ending, or like a death and then like a fake out. I thought like that was just too much because it's like you want to care about like first they kill off a character you don't care about really like at all. At least I didn't. It was like his father figure, but again, they don't share very many scenes together. He's not in the movie very much. Like whoop-de-doo. And then there's his like assistant partner or like girlfriend lady, and again she's like sort of killed off, and you're like okay, and then they bring her back like at the end and her eyes open up, so it's like she'll be like in the sequel if they make it. And then my main concern was like, because again he's supposed to be like a superhero, right? They're trying to make him like a foe to Spider-Man, but like an anti-hero. But they don't make him like an anti-hero. That's the thing about Venom. It's like Venom kind of makes sense. Because they, even if it's like exposition, even if it's the most bare bones stuff, Venom makes sense. Because it's like, they can only, even in Venom, like I think at the end of Venom 1, he tells him, we can only eat bad guys. That's what he says. So there's at least some sort of like a thing he has going for him. It makes sense to the audience, even if it's bare bones. Okay, so like Venom only eats bad guys. That's how he like quenches his thirst, his lust for humans or whatever. I don't know. It makes sense. Venom takes, fights bad guys. But Morbius doesn't have that. He has the problem with blood, because he like doesn't want to kill people. But he kills mercenaries like in the first time he becomes a vampire, whatever. And they chalk it up. It's like, oh, it's mercenaries. There's nobody cares. Like, okay, fine, but again, like, I feel like if you're gonna add that in the scene, like, why not, like, I don't know, do something with it besides like make like a weird offhand joke. At least in my opinion. Because again, Morbius is supposed to be like an anti-hero to fight Spider-Man, something. So they don't, because again, he has the artificial blood that he makes himself, and he drinks it. It's like, okay, it stops me for a little bit, but then it goes down and down and down. So eventually, the point of I think the movie's trying to get at is like he'll crave real blood. Okay, fine, but like he doesn't like do anything with that again, because it's like there's no like scene of him like, okay, I can only like drink like bad guy blood or something. Like that would be something. But again, he like kills Milo. That's the end of the movie. Like Milo's dead. There's no like scene where of him like contemplating his morality and fighting a bad guy. Like there's some like drug, some like counterfeit money producers or something that like make money, and he goes and like steals their lair for the Indian to get the cure for Milo, or like the venom or whatever for Milo. So there's that, but again, he doesn't like kill them. Like he has like no strict, I don't want to drink human blood. So like, what are you doing? Like, what are you gonna do? It doesn't make any sense. Like, because again, artificial blood won't work. You don't want to drink human blood, so like maybe like in the sequel they'll tackle that. But again, is there gonna be a sequel? Because the movie's so like lackluster, they're probably not gonna make a sequel. So I don't know. And then again, that's my main problem, is there's not like enough like development into his morality to make him an anti-hero. Like right now, he just fought another vampire, and that was the end of it. Like, which again ties into the main point of the Spider-Verse thing we have going on, because we have, at the moment, we have Venom, and there's Vulture and Morbius. those don't make any sense. Because again, Morbius has had no sort of anything to do with his morality at all. Nothing. So, like, why does he doesn't even know who Spider-Man is? And there's Venom, who saw him in Venom 2, and there was the No Way Home scene. Okay, so fine. But again, he, like, vaguely knows Spider-Man. And he has a morality about bad guys. So, like, I mean, maybe Vulture can, like, convince him he's a bad guy or something. I don't know. And we have Vulture, which again, he makes the most amount of sense because he was in Homecoming. But still, even that scene didn't make sense because there was the No Way Home, and then Vulture gets like thrown into the Morbius verse, the Sony verse. So again, like he's just like, oh, what's going on? How is it? Like, I think this has to do with Spider-Man. Like, which is a weird assumption to make because all you know is that he's a high school student and he shoots webs. But Spider-Man, he did it. Again, it's one of those things where it's like just like offhand exposition to try to make the plot go faster. But that was an after credit scene. But again, it didn't make much sense because he's like, it's Spider-Man. Oh, we gotta fight him. Like, all he is just some kid that like stops you from like stealing Stark Tech in one movie. Like, you think he's gonna like teleport you? You think he has that capability? I don't know. It seems weird. But again, those are my problems with the movie. I think there's like not enough exposition. Mostly would be my main concern. Too many like special effects scenes. But overall, it was kind of just generic and boring. So like, yeah, it was a kind of mid-tier movie. C-, D+. Anyway, if you made it this long into the video, thanks for watching. Hope you can subscribe to the channel. Maybe follow me on Twitter, Instagram, one of the two. I have a Facebook page. Thanks for watching. Peace. I'll see you in the next video.